Mr. Kerr.
Good evening, Andrew. Welcome to Tube Chat on Paisley FM.
Paisley FM, Gary? You're getting ahead of yourself.
I just seen Paul commenting. I thought I'd give him a shout out. Just thought I'd recognise him. Well done, Paul, for the Tube Chat. What a hashtag that is going to be. We'll be trending worldwide with the Tube Chat.
Gary, are you well?
I'm okay, Andy. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, Gary. Has your nerves settled down after our Friday the 13th special that we had?
I've still got my wig there. See that pack there? There.
Aye.
That's the wig. The wig's in
the wig.
That was good fun, though, and interesting that when you start talking about Friday the 13th and spooky stuff and how it all just comes out.
Well, absolutely, Gary. We had and hello, folks. If you've just joined us, good to see you all coming in to watch episode 30 of Paisley Community Chat Show.
Yeah,
episode 30, Gary.
Episode 30.
We're on to episodes. This is season 1.
Oh yeah,
season 1, episode 30. I don't know if there'll be a second season. We'll need to see if the YouTube's going to renew their license for us.
Yeah, do you think anybody's ever sat and binge watched us?
Done a whole box set of Paisley
Community Chat Show after the Crown.
That's what to do over Christmas, folks. But yeah, we had a fantastic, and I'll have to show the picture of it, Gary. We had the chat show Friday the 13th spooky special.
It was very spooky.
We had David Roy on, who I think got possessed by demons at the end of the show.
We've not heard from David since.
We've not heard from him at all. He's
away. They're a cracking comment, and Andy, it's good to recognise comments.
Already? I've not even got to the comments, Gary.
Elizabeth Van Dyke. Hello, Andy and Gary from Chicago. That's my kind of town, I'll tell you that.
Elizabeth, we would love to hear a little bit more about why you tune in from Chicago to listen to Paisley Community Chat. Do you have a connection to Paisley? Are you born and raised, but you've gone elsewhere? What's the story with Elizabeth Van Dyke, I wonder, Gary?
Yeah, and maybe she just heard the word about this magnificent chat show that's on 8 p.m. Paisley time every Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
But I was going to say, getting back onto the Friday the 13th show, we had some spooky stories. David Roy was on telling us about all the ghosts in Paisley and all the gruesome history of Paisley, which was fascinating. We had Kodak Ghosts on singing a video exclusive. And then we had Mr. Tom Urie come in to tell us about the ghost that used to haunt Shivers in Paisley. Quite spooky, that one as well, Gary.
That's real. I know. And the stories that came out, and it wasn't last week's show, Andy, but we embellish stuff now and again and tell a couple of porkies. After our fireworks show, my sister phoned me up.
Right.
And said, "Did you really steal all the doors in Thrush Creeks and put them for a bonfire?"
It was you.
Oh, it was me. I said, "Look, it's mad." And Stephen's like, "He's just embellished it." So maybe some of the ghost stories were slightly embellished. Maybe some of the ghost stories are real. I definitely know that the spirit of Paisley's future is real, Andy.
Absolutely. Is this a football related name, Gary? What is GYTO? I probably don't want to know what that means.
No, I don't know what that means.
That's a new one. So can you folks, episode 30 in the Paisley Community Chat, we've got a brilliant programme lined up, but also, am I correct in saying, Gary, this programme is being recorded?
It is being recorded for our DVD.
I didn't know it was a DVD.
Yeah, I don't know what. Anyway, it'll be in the bargain bin.
Right.
We're being recorded by Paisley FM. We've done a deal with Paisley FM. They're going to record our show. So welcome to all our listeners at Paisley FM. I don't know if they're putting it out the whole show or if we're going to do some highlights. So we need to keep talking, Andy, because silence on the radio is not good for anyone.
It's not, absolutely. And the only downside is we know that one of the big things that make this show are all of the comments that come in on social media. So we're absolutely delighted that everyone comments on YouTube, comments on Facebook. You are as part of a show as we are. And we show them up on the screen from time to time. And we get a right good laugh because some of them are quite funny and some of them are a wee bit offensive. Gary.
I know. I know.
Paul, you need to change that profile picture, Paul. You need to get that. That's Halloween is long gone, unless this is a new look you're channeling, Paul.
I recognise him like that. I think he's got a good look there.
Quite a pout on him. See, that'll no work for radio, Gary. We need to be aware of.
We need to read them out.
I need to be aware of our new radio audience, Gary. So that's great. Delighted that Paisley.
That's great, isn't it? That's great. Paisley FM.
Editing. So hello, folks, if you're tuning in on Radio FM or Paisley FM, sorry.
Paisley FM, yeah. So that's great. I mean, they've got similar values to ourselves. They're a charity, they're community focused. Indeed. I was going to ask though, Andy, you think we'll get a whole year out of this?
A whole year out of what, Gary?
This chat show?
Well, yeah, I think so.
What does the viewer think? Do you think we'll get a year out of this? If the vaccine comes, do you want us still to do the show? Do you want us to be here every Wednesday? Do you think we've got subjects you want to hear about and talk about? Give us your comments. Come on.
Good to hear. News just in, Gary. We have an update from Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, aye. Now, we need to read it out for the radio listeners. Happened to catch your show when you had Alfredo Nutini on, and I think you guys are great. Oh, jeez, oh. The spooky show was awesome. So I've no connection to Paisley other than wanting to visit one day and a huge fan of Mr. Paolo Nutini. Isn't that fantastic, Andy?
That's great, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. That's really just made my evening. You've tuned in because you like Paolo, one of our famous sons. His father was on with us, and you've continued to tune in ever since. That's just brilliant.
That's brilliant, Elizabeth. Thanks for tuning in. Everything Paisley's like me and Andy.
We'll have to get Elizabeth on the show at some point to add a little bit of international flair to what we do.
Andy, put the link up. Get her on now.
I'll need to dig out the link. Yes, let's go. If you're watching on Facebook, in fact, if anyone's watching, they can join us live on the show by just following this link. So let me just post that in there.
Mill Magazine every Wednesday, please. Superb.
There we go.
So that link will come in handy, Andy. Handy. I've never said that. I've never said that in the show. Is that the first time I've said that in the show? A wee tea break for Handy Andy.
That's me getting my cup of tea in. Thanks, darling. Oh, it's a hot tea. Right, so, Gary.
Yeah, so the link will come in handy. I'm looking for anyone who has been... Oh, well, we'll talk about it in a minute. You've got other things we like to talk about.
Other than that, caught my eye. Usually we always think about what caught our eye this week. What have we seen about the town? And what have we seen on some of the social media websites that are out there? So this one caught our eye, didn't it, Gary?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome, isn't it, Andy? The scaffolding going up down at the old mannequins. Tell us what it's about, though, Andy.
Well, that in a picture is progress, Gary, which is fantastic. So I'm sure many of our local viewers, maybe for Elizabeth in Chicago, you might not know this area, but this is in Backsnaring, and this building here used to be the old Templars dance hall, and it's had various ownership over the years and was a nightclub called Mannequins recently, but has unfortunately fallen into a slight state of disrepair and hasn't been getting used for a while. And now Pace Theatre Company, which is one of the foremost theatre companies within the town. We've got a number of them, and Pace is one of them.
Youth Theatre
Company is taking over this building and converting it into Paisley's new theatre, or Pace's new theatre. And that's them starting the scaffolding work on it to begin the refurbishment works.
That's stunning, Andy, and very pertinent for tonight because it'll be Paisley's Youth Theatre.
Well,
one of the one of the UK's largest youth theatre groups. So that's fantastic for them. Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to get an invite to the opening night, Andy.
Well, listen, we wish Pace all the very best. I hope all the works go well. I hope all the fundraising that you've been doing. And as always, if there's anything that we can do to help and support what you are all about at Pace, we'd be delighted to do so. Another thing. Is
Elizabeth tuned in yet, Andy?
No, she's not here yet, Gary. I think she's still watching. Maybe she's camera shy. But we've got another thing caught my eye, Gary, on Paisley and Proud. That's one of the good Facebook pages that I look at. And it's a person called Catherine Watt. And if you're watching, Catherine, hello, Catherine. If you're not watching, then maybe this word will get out that we've been previewing some of your work. But what Catherine's been doing is she's been going about all of the closes in Paisley and taking pictures of all the decorative features and tiles.
Yeah.
I know what. On you go, Gary.
Have you seen the Twitter account? What's
that one?
It's Paisley Tiles.
Paisley Tiles?
I think it's called that. I'll send you a link to it. I'll maybe get it during a break.
During a break.
We're having a break. Are you getting any commercial break?
No commercial break this time, Gary. Too many requirements for changing your underpants.
I'll look for it, but it's about that, Andy. It's about all Paisley's interest in tiles and all the closes.
There's tons of them. I used to live in a tenement at Brodie Park, and we had kind of fairly basic ones, but there are some really incredible ornamental tiles. And what she's also posting is all these little architectural features. See, if you're walking about Paisley, I know it's easy to be distracted with some of the stuff on the ground floor, particularly if shops are not occupied, but just look up a wee bit. Just look up at some of the buildings, particularly in the high street. And the last thing that caught my eye, Gary, before we kick on with the show, we have to mention it, but unfortunately...
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And that's too small print to read, Andy, but it's we're in a lockdown again.
We are in a lockdown. Now, bearing in mind, Gary, we were saying this not so long ago.
Yeah, and we need to keep that. It is getting increasingly frustrating, but we do have to. Don't be a tube.
Don't be a tube.
We need to keep
lockdown. Starts Friday night, 6 o'clock, and on most of the Paisley pages, but certainly on the Renfrewshire website and the Renfrewshire Facebook page. If you're unsure, folks, what it means to be in level 4, all the details are there. And, how long, I'm not quite sure how long that's going to last for. Friday, in fact, it's there, Friday the 11th of December.
Yeah.
And it's a shame for those pubs and bars and some of the hospitality function suites and gyms and all these places that are going to suffer. But please, as a community, folks, let's see if we can just keep the heat, try and get through this, try and cap this down, because we know that a medical solution is just around the corner. And we know it's Christmas and we know the time of year it is, but please see what we can do just to try and get out of that level 4 restriction as much as we possibly can. It will take all of us to do it.
Yeah, and I've got to say at this stage, Andy, a very, very big thank you to all the NHS and support staff that I know are doing over and above the call of duty. Part of the reason that we're in lockdown is to protect them and not to overwhelm the NHS. So we want to thank the NHS and the people that work there. If there's anyone watching from the NHS, really, thank you so much.
Great. And we've not actually, although we talked about our Halloween special, Gary, we didn't talk about our 11th of the 11th, our Remembrance Day special.
We didn't.
But that was quite something.
It's a bit easier to talk about it now, Andy, but at that time, that was, geez, oh man.
It was tough. It was tough, and we had some fantastic guests on that programme, and I think it's given the nature of it and everything that we had to cover, it was really, I think we had a good programme, and we shone a spotlight on some of the brilliant organisations that are out there. But everybody that was watching was, really supportive with your comments. So that was great to see. But
it was really, really good. It's really, folks, really good.
If you've If you've not seen any of those shows, they're all on YouTube, or you can scroll through our Facebook feed. Right, Gary.
And the last thing that caught my eye, Andy, and what I wanted to say to folks out there, the last thing that caught my eye is the Celebrating Renfrewshire Fund.
Oh,
it's caught my eye enough that anyone who was awarded a fund from Celebrating Renfrewshire, I want to hear from them tonight. If you are from Pitchadoo, Paisley YMCA, Loud and Proud, Twist and Hit cheerleaders, Own Your Bike, the Dartwood crew helping Fergusley Flourish Village Green Mural Project, Paisley Pirates Supporters Club, Cameron Dance Group, Pals of the Privies, Renfrewshire Carers Centre, I Am Me Scotland, Right to Dance, Blue Triangle Housing Association, COVID and Mental Health, Renfrewshire Youth Voice, Kilburn Hockey Club, Paisley Sea Cadets, Paisley Barbell, Create Paisley, Pace Theatre Company, Young Enterprise Renfrewshire, Renfrewshire Rocks, and Afro Scots United. We want to hear from you.
If you're watching the show, if you're listening in, let us know that you're about, and we'll post a link later on if you want to jump on. But all worthy winners, Gary, by the sounds of things.
That was all from memory.
You didn't have no,
all from memory. And
you didn't have notes at all, Gary, did you?
Didn't have notes. No notes. Thanks for putting that up. Thanks for putting it up. Covering me. Well done. That was great. And that's just Paisley, Andy.
Fantastic. I mean, we had the Provost sort of thanks a few weeks ago, and the list is as long as your arm of the people who are doing brilliant stuff. So to hear that as well, Gary, geez, we are so fortunate to stay in Paisley and to stay in Renfrewshire, aren't we? Just
absolutely. And of course, they're youth related awards, and that's part of the reason that we've put this show on. And I think it takes us very nicely, as if this was meant, to tonight's first guests.
I'm watching Graham in the preview here, and he looks like he's panicking. He looks like I'm going to put him out his misery, and we're going to bring Graham Wilson and Adrian McKechnie on from Renfrewshire Youth Voice.
There's the boys there.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Adrian, Graham, hiya.
Hello.
Graham, you're not nervous, are you?
No, not at all. No.
Not as if you can't hear any nerves in that voice at all.
You survived our made-up bit at the start. So that's giving you a flavour of what this is going to be like for you. Yes. But it's great to see you both on the show. You're both very welcome. In age-old tradition, Paisley Community Trust's chat show. For those that don't know you and what you do, could you introduce yourself first, and maybe Adrian first?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thanks for having us. It was a nice little surprise to see. I think it was Twitter and how you reached out to us, so thank you for doing so. So, introduction, obviously, I'm Adrian McKechnie, the chairperson of Renfrewshire Youth Voice. I have been for a couple of years now, if I remember correctly. So I suppose that means I've been doing a good enough job to be re-elected, hopefully. But yeah, essentially just to try and help direct the charity that is Renfrewshire Youth Voice. Probably hear a wee bit more about what we do as a charity, I suppose, later on, so I won't get too much into that. But really enjoy it. It's a wee bit harder now to juggle it with a kind of full-time job now that I've graduated from university, but still there. And probably won't give it up for some time. But yeah, that's me, chairperson of Renfrewshire Youth Voice.
And what age are you, Adrian?
23. 23,
soon to be not a youth. I don't count 23 as youth.
That's just been envious.
I know. Graham.
Yes. Hello, I'm Graham. I am the treasurer of Renfrewshire Youth Voice, and I'm also the treasurer of a youth group called Erskine Youth Council as well. So my job is basically to look after the accounts and the books, and if they don't get done, Adrian comes over to my house and kicks my backside and tells me to get them done.
I thought you were going to say something else.
No. No, but yeah. No. As Adrian said, it's been difficult for all of us this year, but as everyone, we've learned to adapt to the new stuff that we're doing. And as Adrian said again, we're going to talk more about what we've done later on.
Well, listen, it's absolutely great to have you on the show because our youth days are slightly in the past, Gary. Our youthful days, are they not?
Our youth is all in our head, Andy.
Well, I think, listen, I still feel like I'm 18 or 19 or certainly of that kind of age, but my birth certificate says otherwise. So it's great to kind of balance up the ages on the programme. But before we have any smart comments up there, it's also great to balance up the hair distribution as well, because as you can appreciate, myself and Gary, hair like youth is but a distant memory. So it's great to see you guys in and, you know, not only sporting the beards, but the full heads of hair as well. So enjoy it whilst it lasts. But it's
enjoy it while it lasts. Look what's coming.
I know. Don't say it.
I know, Graham. I think you'll be all right, Graham.
Hopefully.
Graham's got good coverage there. So I've got a video lined up. I've got a couple of videos lined up that we can introduce you with and show a little bit later on. But, you know, it'd be good to just get a little bit of an insight into some of the kind of particular aims and some of the particular projects that you've been undertaking. And I guess what motivates you to do what you do?
Oh, that last one's a very, very good question. And if only I had the time to...
we might be here for a few hours.
Yeah. I can be well known for sort of droning on and on a wee bit, but in essence, and Graham can help me if I miss anything out, I suppose, it's all the underlying value, the underlying purpose of I'm Sure Your Voice is kind of in the name. It's to listen to what young people kind of want to do, or what their issues are and how we want to tackle them. Various that it can really take its own shape in various different ways is what I'm trying to say. But this year we've done a couple of things. One of the things we set out at the start of the year pre-COVID to do was we were going to run a sort of a relief program, and that really quickly had to sort of changed because of COVID. We were just kind of getting to the stages of implementing it, and we were hoping to work with some of the schools and the sort of within Renfrewshire. But then we had to reorientate that because obviously pupils were no longer in schools were closed. And we ran a food relief program that particularly seeked to help young people and people with obviously children that are within our age ranges as well, to make sure that they didn't go without food, or even just sometimes make sure that they were comfortable enough to deal with the sort of really stressful situation that was COVID at the very start and height of the pandemic. That's another thing that maybe when we talk about celebrating Renfrewshire a wee bit more, that also influenced the project and the funding that we asked for to be able to produce our next projects that we'll be going on to do. Another thing that we have been doing this year particularly was our Unheard Voices campaign as well, which kind of focused on trying to gather some information from young people about how they were experiencing the lockdown, and also trying to help them express themselves and have a little bit of escapism as well. We had movie bucket lists on the campaign where people could go into the bucket list and watch a movie and then write a review about it if they wanted to. Create sort of things like journals and submit them, creative selfies, there's some poetry on it. So sort of nice ways to sort of express themselves, but not in your sort of traditional write it down and send it in. And that is something we are looking at the moment of how do we continue that project, because at first we kind of thought, oh, this will naturally taper itself off and come to an end, but it looks at the moment that the underlying need for it is still kind of there at the moment. So that's something that we're continuing to do. And if there is anything else, Graham, I think you can help me come and jump in at this point.
Yeah, and it's like, as Adrian was saying about the Unheard Voices stuff, for the journals, we also made a set of, like a guide list in how to change up the way you write your journals. So it's like you could draw on your page and make it your own, make it unique, that's different. So it's your own personality that's coming through in the journals. And another thing that we done was we had a music bit as well. So we all created different playlists for different moods. So it's like if you're working out or going for a run, there was music that was more, it was faster, higher beats per minute. And then there was more for chill stuff. So if you're studying, more laid back music.
How did you get drawn into Renfrew Youth Voice, Graham?
Me, I was part of another group called the Renfrew Youth Commission that was all based on mental health.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of work around mental health within Renfrewshire, which led us to be a finalist in the 2018 Young Scot Awards. So through that, Adrian was also a member of it, but he was also a member of RYV. And funny enough, how I started RYV was because they said they were getting Chinese, so free food. So I went along to it, and then I just stuck because it was interesting because it was different from the Youth Commission because it was not focusing on the one issue. It was more bright, more scattered.
Yeah, more broader approach. Well, listen, I'm going to play your promo video to give everyone a wee flavour of what it is, and then we're going to come back and we're going to dig into some of the challenges that, or some of the issues that you see the youth are facing in Renfrewshire today, and perhaps some of the solutions. So here's your promo video.
Renfrewshire Youth Voice is a youth voice charity that is run by youth for youth. RYV's aim is to bridge the gap between decision makers and young people, whether that is locally or nationally. This has been done through our various projects that we run, one of them being our participatory budgeting project, where we work with other partners such as Renfrewshire Council, Active Schools and Youth Services to develop the participatory budgeting fund in Renfrewshire that is known as Celebrating Renfrewshire. Another is our personal and social health education consultation, yet again working with partners such as the Council and Youth Services and Education Scotland to deliver a consultation of PSHE and health and wellbeing across Renfrewshire. A long-standing project is our Positive About Youth Awards, which is set up to tackle the stigma and the antisocial behaviour label that is attached to young people. Through this, we celebrate the amazing and incredible achievements of young people in Renfrewshire. Another one of our projects is to deliver a youth space for Renfrewshire's young people, as they have said to us that they have nowhere that is dedicated to them and that they feel that there's nothing there for them to use centrally within Renfrewshire. Throughout doing all of this, we engage with other young people through our holiday programmes, in which we provide young people the opportunities to engage in residentials and participatory roadshows where we deliver various different events. Renfrewshire Youth Voice, for young people, by young people.
That's a great message there, guys, and what it showed to me is the breadth and width of offering and the way you're listening across Renfrewshire. A couple of things in there that I think we need to engage with you guys a bit more because of the work Paisley Community Trust does. So we'll catch up with that a wee bit later on. But how can us grown-ups, us adults, employers even, tailor what we do in our behaviour and our workplaces and our leisure activities in towns and in the region to cater more for young people?
It's a very good question. I think I could make it really simple for you or for anybody that's listening. My personal opinion on that one would be, in my opinion, through some of the youth work that I've done, being the chairperson and just being involved in the receiving end of youth empowering youth work, is just listen to young people, listen to them and then engage with them. It's the easiest way to, if you want to figure out how you can tailor your service more towards young people, how you can make your, say, your company or your organisation more youth-friendly for employability. It's that sort of level of engagement where it doesn't have to be huge, it can be as little and it can be as big as you want it to be, but as long as you just ask them. And you'll find young people that will come forward, and some will be sort of brave enough to put themselves out there and tell you what they think. And then another aspect to that can be co-production, I suppose, to some degree. For some who may not know what that kind of means, it's just really working with the service users, in most cases, people that would use the service, but also people that may be part of it to produce the end product or to help to make it better. That would be my take on it. I don't know if Graham would say I'm right or wrong, but that's definitely, I think, the easiest way to do it is put a shout out, see if any young person answers to it, and get the conversation starting.
Yeah, I'll agree on Adrian in that one, because it's all about the act of communication. because it's like if you're going, right, we'll like to listen to your ideas and what you have to say. Most young people go, well, I've actually got an opportunity for someone to hear my idea and see what they think about it. So it's all about the act of communication, which is key in anything, to be honest, but especially with young people, because all young people want is to be heard, because we feel like that we're getting dumbed down by everyone else. So it's an opportunity for us to express our ideas, and also, as what Adrian said, was it's good to have, say, we've got a new project coming out. It's good for us to co-design it with other young people who are not a part of RYV, so we get their takes, because it can be from different backgrounds, different areas, rich, poor, etc. So we get all that information and make it into this plan that would be accessible for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that your organisation and what you're doing has it has a huge role to play in Paisley, Renfrewshire, the communities for young people, and not just for young people. It's everyone that's part of the society in the area. Gary mentioned about Paisley Community Trust. We'll follow up this conversation after to ensure that we've got really good collaboration and engagement with you. But one question I wanted to ask is, if you take a temperature check of young people across Paisley and across Renfrewshire, what are and COVID aside, because we know that COVID is kind of skewing results right now, and it will be a concern because COVID is really affecting that youth base that they're at that time of their life where they really want to go out and live their life. But what I'm keen to hear is, if you were to take a temperature check across the area and region, apart from COVID, what are some of the main points, the main challenges that are coming out that we need to be focused on trying to address as a community?
I definitely would say your thing that has been it's always been there in the background for a good while, is possibly life skills. And I don't know if I'm doing it justice by sort of simplifying it down to that, but it's that idea of like education only does so much, in the sense that reading from a book and learning from a book and being taught about history and maths and geography, etc. It's brilliant. I loved history when I was at school, done a degree in it, of course. But at the same time, there was a whole lot that when I left school, I was like, I don't know anything about accredited history, don't know anything about how I'm meant to go into an interview. A lot of the things that you actually really need to utilise the things you learn when you were in school, they don't really teach you that. And I suppose that links back to a project that we've been working on, and is it's still an ongoing project, and COVID kind of disrupted that for a good bit, and we're trying to now touch base and get back to sort of picking it back up. But that was around the personal and social health education, or PSHE or PSE. It's called different things in different schools, and how we can make that better for young people, because for a long time that was something we heard a long time. They even pushed, I don't know if you may have heard of him, a very successful young person, Josh Kennedy for Renfrewshire. He is now the chairperson of the Scottish Youth Parliament. But back in the day when he was a newly elected member of the Scottish Youth Parliament, him and a cohort of MSYPs took what do you call that? A motion. That's what it's called. Sorry, they took a motion to the council and had the support of the council and had it passed, that essentially said that young people should be involved in sort of the generation of PSHE lessons and creating them. I'd personally say that, alongside mental health and employability and life skills, probably your big ones. It'd be interesting to see if Graham agrees with me, especially because Graham comes from a different part of Renfrewshire. I've always kind of lived in a well-connected area, so the issues up there may be different, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, it's like, for me, PSHE changed when I went into 6th year. So from 1st year to 5th year, we were all in a classroom, all different, like different houses, etc. But when 6th year came, the entire year was together in this one hall. 1 week we'd be learning Japanese, then we'd be learning something else, then we'd be doing quizzes. But there was only one day we learned about banking, and that's when they got 2 people in, split us up, and they were talking to us about banking. But still, half of us didn't know how to open a bank account, how to pay the bills, how a mortgage, rent, etc. So that's something.
That's interesting, guys, that you're talking about that level of importance and not leisure activities. And any, because doing some research and looking at what you're involved in and what you're trying to do is about giving people activities and things to do. What would you say would be number one on your list? And as far as activities and places to gather, I've seen that in the video, places to gather and for young people. What's the number one?
That's quite easy, I suppose. Then the number one, and as it does say in the video, another one of the projects is trying to create a youth space, and it's probably one of the most difficult ones. And it's kind of like a sort of a building block, and we need to try and put other ones in place to get to that point. But essentially, that idea is that young people have been saying, and it has its different representations in different areas of Renfrewshire as well. There was a project called Space in Linwood as well. But essentially, it's just about having a space that's theirs. It's about having a space that's accessible, youth-friendly, and that they can really make their own. They can change it. Well, that's the whole point of kind of Youth Voice. It's to go, they could come in and say to us at one point, if we were to set up a youth space and go, do you know what, this space doesn't work for us. You're providing X, Y, and Z, but really this is what we want. And if you're a good youth worker and if you're a good youth work organisation, you'll listen to that, you'll take heed of it, and then you'll go, right, well, how can we involve you guys in making it what it is, or what you want it to be? But that is it. Essentially, I'd say you kind of hit it on the head. That's having their own space within, centrally within Renfrewshire has always been what we've been told they would like.
Yeah, because we've always been trying to find a space within Paisley, so it's very neutral from anywhere you are. So from Lochwinnock to Erskine, Paisley seems to be the main central point of Renfrewshire. So we've always been trying to find a place in Paisley that's very like wheelchair accessibility and everything. Right,
guys, let's catch up on that later, because 100%. We definitely need to connect a lot deeper. Paisley Community Trust and our trustee Shannon, who's on the younger side of us. She's a young person, so we'll connect Shannon with you. We'll try and help each other. That'll be great. So on to Celebrating Renfrewshire Fund. Before we overrun again, Andy, as we always do.
We can push off the 9 o'clock news, Gary. Don't worry.
I would do that. Oh, I remember it.
Go on.
I was going to say, before I forget, we were talking about Paisley FM earlier.
Yes.
The one thing that won't come across very well in the Paisley FM is the subtitles that come up when you're on YouTube. With the volume down, you should watch it back, guys. With the volume down, the subtitles come up, and they're all back to front. And you were talking about Japanese. I think there's a bit of that thrown in as well.
Just for good measure. It really struggles with the Scottish accent, but hopefully things get a little bit better in that sense. But I know we're going on to talk about Celebrating Renfrew, and I've actually got the video lined up as well, Gary. I'm organised tonight for a change.
Well done, Andy.
Will I roll the video and then we'll come back and talk about Celebrating Renfrewshire?
If you want.
Here we go.
Sure.
The Celebrating Renfrewshire Fund is a fund designed by young people for young people, in which 12 to 25-year-olds have their say on which projects are funded in Renfrewshire.
So far, we've only really been running for 6 months, and every week we've got at least 20 kids coming to get their bike fixed or help other kids with their bikes. So we're really, really happy with how well it's going. The reason we're here today is we're actually looking for funding so that these guys can get training. So we're looking for funding so we can train and start getting strips and things like that. That's why we're here. You know, the voting structure doesn't give you any indication how that's all going. It's very, very hard to tell. I really don't know. It'll be what it'll be. Are you excited, Kimbles? Kimbles is excited as well.
It's just amazing to make sure that the young people's voices are being heard and that we are enacting their dreams and their hopes.
In Linwood and the surrounding community, that they have decided that they are going to set up a youth space called Space.
Yay! We're working with Paisley and a new practice, which are an architectural design company, and we're all working together on this co-design project along with a group of young people who are designing the interior and the exterior and the activities and the general ethos of the youth space. And what we're looking at is working with the young people to design the interior but also understand what comes with the setting up the activities.
Regardless of the area that I represent or any other areas in Renfrewshire, something that does resonate is that sense of connection to the word community. And often you find it in small bouts, but very seldomly nowadays do you see it come all in one place.
If you look at the fact that we had over 120 applications.
With all young people who have been instrumental to ensuring that their voices have not just been heard, but actually had actions attached to it.
St Mirren Youth Football Club.
So we're going to use the money for a second-hand changing and toilet facility, and what that's going to allow us to do is to get our 9 teams and our 5 girls teams playing out of the tyres, hopefully from 2020. On your right. Fantastic. Couldn't get any better.
I'm going to have a party!
We weren't expecting such a big turnout. So good.
There we go. That was fantastic.
That's pretty inspiring, Andy.
Oh, it's absolutely great. And, Graham, Adrian, thank you so much indeed for coming on to the programme this evening. And I guess there's not even really enough time to cover all the wonderful stuff that you guys are involved in. I think what we want to do, however, is make sure that we get a good bit of promotion out there for you. So, if people are interested in the organisation, where do they go? How do they find you?
So the easiest way to answer that then would be there is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter's good. It's just our Youth Voice. And then the same for Facebook as well, if you type into Renfrewshire Youth Voice. Or even you can visit the website, www.ryv.org.uk.
Excellent.
That's great. That's great. Hopefully you've enjoyed that, Adrian and Graham. It wasn't too daunting for you. And we'll definitely catch up because there's lots of common ground with what we're trying to achieve as Paisley Community Trust and what you actually do. So we'll connect afterwards, Adrian.
Yeah,
right. Well, thank you very much.
Space, folks. Graham, Adrian, good to see you. See you later
Thanks for on the show, guys. See you later.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.
What inspirational young men they are, Gary.
Isn't that fantastic, Andy?
Oh, it's great.
To be young again.
Did you have your heat screwed on as well as that when you were that age, Gary?
Now and again. From about 7 o'clock till 4:30, Monday to Friday. And then it was stealing the doors and Thrushcraigs at the weekend. Stealing the doors of Thrushcraigs for the bonfire. That was me. Chapel runaway.
Adrian and Graham, if you're still listening, get a wee shout in there from folks at Mill Magazine. They're going to be in touch with you to shine an extra spotlight on all the brilliant work that you have been doing. So, Mill Magazine, friends of Paisley Community Trust.
Isn't that great? And part of the reason we do the show is to shine a light on people, Andy, and make connections. And the guys at Mill Magazine are really keen to connect with other people. So, if you're still watching Mill Magazine, which I'm sure you are, I can make the connection. Give me a shout.
Make it happen. Now, Gary, tonight is a youth special. And I know that both you and I are relatively young at heart and young at spirit, but our next guest has, let's just say he's contested the definition of youth for himself. I don't know why you would want to do that.
Well, young, of mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is acceptable.
I'm sure he qualifies. Let's bring him on. Terry.
How we doing, folks? All right.
Folk will be thinking, what's this youth definition? What's happened with the youth?
Well, I do think we're going to be done with the Trade Descriptions Act ever so slightly, but you've done wonders for my self-esteem, I need to say.
Fantastic. Now, Terry, thank you so much for joining us on the programme this evening, and it's great to see you with clothes on, because I do understand I do understand, Terry, that we're a bit of a regular feature in the household on a Wednesday night, but you watch us in a rather unusual place, Terry. Would you like to share with us?
Yep, absolutely. I have no shame at all. I've spoken about it in the chat in previous weeks. You have become an integral part of my self-care routine. I normally, Wednesday night's normally my night off, so I normally have a wee bath and relax, a smelly candle and stuff like that. And I've always got you on in the background while you're on. Not necessarily for the full show, but I always listen to a wee bit, maybe the tail end of it or whatever. So, and believe me, I've listened to the Provost in the bath. I've listened to the all manner of folks. Let me think, the museum, for example. I went that night. I was in the bath as well. So, a plethora of guests.
Fantastic.
Well, we're lucky to see you without the wrinkles tonight, then, Terry.
Oh, brilliant! And Terry, we do know, because as we said earlier on in the show, the comments that come in on Facebook and YouTube, it's part of the program. I know it won't kind of cover itself that well when it goes to radio, but the comments that come in, the people that make the comments, it's part of the program. We've got our regulars in every week, and it's brilliant to get the comments. And you're also one of those regulars, Terry, and it's great, all your contributions throughout the weeks that we've had. I've now got a picture of you in there typing away in your bathtub, so it's great to get that in. But
I think that's why I
oh, fantastic. So, Gary,
what
are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Yeah, so the reason we invited Terry on, of course, is in his capacity of the Celebrating Renfrewshire award winner. So when I was looking down the list, and I read out the list earlier, Terry, it's some list of winners. Talk us through, Terry, what the process was for making an application for the Celebrating Renfrewshire Award, and then you can tell us a wee bit more about what it's all about.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me on, guys. As I say, I have become a bit of a fan, so it's a bit of a milestone that I've managed to get myself on the show. Well, I had a wee sneaky snippet before, but in regards to Celebrating Renfrewshire, a great thing. This is Dartwood Crew, the organisation that I represent, I suppose. This is our first year taking part, so we've been absolutely delighted to learn that we've been successful. But despite the fact this is our first year taking part, we have saw other neighbouring youth organisations, Pals of the Privies, Own Your Bike, for example, who have benefited in previous years as well as this year. And we saw the fantastic pieces of work that they've been able to do as a consequence of that support. And as a local activist, I just love the whole democratising of where public money should be spent. So that really excites me. And I think the two chaps you had on before, really refreshing. I remember, wasn't it just yesterday, but I was 16 years old. I was chairperson of the local youth forum, and I remember some of the things that they were talking about, actively discussing the same issues. So it's interesting that COVID, if you like, has allowed us all, sometimes young people and adults can be poles apart. It's really refreshing to hear that the core issues that are important to us as adults are equally as important, perhaps just as a different perspective to young people as well. And I think that's something that should be celebrated. I think the name Celebrating Renfrewshire captures that wonderfully.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously, you work hard. You don't just do it on your own. You've got a whole team round about you. But it is good to be recognised. It's good to know that the work that you're putting in is making a difference, and it's being appreciated, Terry.
Well, what's really good about it is it's the young folks that choose it themselves. So this year is slightly different. It was an online kind of voting, whereas in times gone by, there's been a physical going along. And again, being somebody who's kind of quite active in the community, what that excites me about is it gets young folks prepared for the real world. We heard Adrian and stuff talking earlier about, I don't really know any skills about the real world, and there was more focus on banking and paying the bills and stuff, but it's equally important to be able to understand how you go about going and casting a vote and understanding the importance that contributes to your society, and that if somebody's I don't know, got on your nerves or you don't like what's going on, you can be responsible for effective change in your own local community. And that's the first building block of that whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was interested to hear them about the bank accounts. Do you remember in school, Andy, and maybe you do as well, Terry, that if it happened to you and up in St Charles's, up at Rowan Street, we all get opening a bank account in primary 4 or 5. We get taken down to the TSB in Nielsen Road, and they gave us this book, and it had a thing that you tied, and you got, and it was so early in our education, where that seems to have maybe just slipped up into secondary school and maybe out and gone.
Yeah. I remember. There was someone came along from the TSB, and
that's what it was, Andy. Right?
Little piggy banks. It was a little orb sort of thing that you put money in, so the principles are saving. But I think the guys on earlier kind of noted that life skills, things that you pick up through experience. There's maybe an absence of that within our education system. We're obviously focusing on the subjects that we all know. Some we love, some we don't particularly love, but those life skills are perhaps being missed out. So there's a role to play, Terry, is there not?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think my level of understanding banking at school, we certainly didn't open up an account, but I remember going to the local BB, and you took along your kind of wee 50 pence or £1 and you saved that up because you were going away a bus run at the end of the summer. And so that was my basic level of understanding. And I think the reason for that was because they were trying to kind of introduce that level of understanding and capability. So it's a shame that those things were lost, but it's great to hear Adrian and stuff trying to kind of, through their own proactiveness, if you like, reintroduce that rather than just, again, expect it to kind of fall out the sky. Because I think it is really important to listen to young people. Our Dartwood Cruise application to celebrate Renfrewshire, for example, isn't actually Dartwood Crew that's applied. We've just really acted as a sponsor type local group on behalf of a local artist that we've identified in the community, 20-year-old young lady called Alicia Smythe. Literally a lost diamond in the rough. And again, off the back of this COVID pandemic, I've often tried to kind of bang the drum about there's loads of opportunities of this horrible situation that we're in, and try to be as upbeat and positive as I can. And probably dropping off a wee kind of arts and crafts bag to this young girl during the lockdown. She produced this absolutely fantastic painting. I mean, her mum had said, I must show you Alicia's painting that she's done out the bag, you reader. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but certainly the standard was absolutely top notch. But the girl herself was kind of lacking in confidence, didn't appreciate just how good she was. And I'm like, look. So gradually we've managed to kind of work with that young girl, and subsequently she's submitted that very piece of artwork to the John Byrne Award, another originally Figgy boy, for want of a better phrase. So there's a wee kind of local connection there, but it shows how that young girl herself has grown in confidence. She now appreciates that she does have a talent, which to your eyes is ridiculous, but that is a step for her. And now for her to maybe kind of spearhead a local mural painting, something that anybody in the community can come along to and take part in and see, just if you're walking to the school with the rains in the morning and stuff like that. That's the great thing, and it just brings that whole mindset that I spoke of earlier about just demonstrating every day how local people can be responsible for positive change in their own community.
That's great to hear, Terry, that spark has led to the community award. So is that what happened with the Helping Fergusley Flourish Village Green project? Was that part of that? Was that something different?
Essentially, that was Dartwood Crew's starter project. The reason Dartwood Crew formed was as a kind of environmental conservationist type organisation. It was in response to a local lady in the community becoming a bit concerned at local village green, where there was a wee children's play area. She was regularly visiting that with the Granwains, and she thought, this is now starting to become a bit of a hotspot for antisocial behaviour. So she asked the Community Council, the Fergusley Community Council, of which I'm also the secretary of, Dartwood Crew is the subsidiary, if you like, if we could support her in trying to kind of clean up the area. we had previously did something very similar up in the park. My partners at Paisley the Privies would be better versed to speak about that. But so I was quite happy to support that. And from there on, it's just grew arms and legs. So the regeneration of the green was the kind of the founding project. I think that work in itself, however, was underpinned by a belief that that whole area maybe held some of the keys to addressing some of the kind of long-standing historical problems in the area. And I think, again, COVID has provided a real opportunity in Ferguson for local groups like Dartwood Crew, Pals of the Privies, Own Your Bike, to really meet local needs in a way that never thought possible before.
Is that all underpinned, Terry, by young people? Because that's where the award came from, and voted by young people, or is it just that it's voted by young people and that's why you were awarded it?
Well, I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. Young people will always vote for the projects that they see in the local community or that they go to or participate in. So there's always that. Whilst at the same time, we've tried to make this project local. I mean, we're hoping it'll be led by Alicia herself, and that whole process started with Alicia, not Dartwood Crew. Dartwood Crew is just simply trying to facilitate that for both Alicia's personal development, but of course for taking that regeneration of the village green that step forward as well. So it's a kind of what I said earlier about in terms of what Adrian and the other lad were talking about. It's about joining up the dots, essentially joining up the dots. The opportunities are there. It's incumbent on me as a community activist to make sure that those dots are joined up, and indeed the individuals are supported in a correct way in which to take full advantage of it.
So, Terry, I've got two smashing videos. One's the Paths for All, and the other one's your Dark Crew COVID one. So which one would you like for me to trigger first?
Entirely up to you. You're the director, I'm the guest.
We'll take a lucky dip then. So I'm just going to roll a video and we'll catch up and chat about it in a moment.
Dartwood Crew's a constituted group of local volunteers based in Ferguson Park who initially came together to regenerate the local village green and essentially got on to transform it from what was an antisocial behaviour hotspot to a really lovely green space that can be enjoyed and accessed by the local community.
We'd clean up the paths and we cut grass and we do loads and loads of things. We'll do like a bingo bus. We're in everybody's streets every other night, delivering food, and then we sometimes will get like referrals, people who are really struggling, and it's a hotline number, they'll phone, and this hotline's been there for day one, the week of the lockdown.
For 20 years things were being done to Ferguson rather than being done in conjunction with those who lived in Ferguson, and the COVID pandemic, as well as it's been seen as a negative all over the world, it's allowed Ferguson to demonstrate firsthand just how well it knows how to resolve its own challenges. Today saw the hosting of our 4th community market provision, and really that's just an attempt to try and tackle isolation and loneliness and food insecurity in the local community in light of COVID.
I've suffered from agoraphobia for maybe 9 years. It's made me see people that I've not seen for years.
We came up with the idea about a month ago to have a market out in the green and just for everybody to come pick what they like. Everything's free, so that's a good thing. Really enjoyable as well, especially when somebody turns around and says, well, thanks very much, it's much appreciated. That says everything.
It was never part of Dartwood Crew's plan to be involved in those types of things, but we try and respond to the needs of the community.
It's like a big family now. It's amazing. It's really, really good.
Makes you feel as though the stuff you're doing is worthwhile.
There's people in the group that had never really, they didn't get involved with anything, and they've come into this group.
It's kept me in the straight and narrow, so to speak. Helped out with the depression that's not severe and stuff like that.
Ferguson's a fantastic community for folks coming together to help out in a crisis, and COVID only sought to highlight that even further.
Terry, that's a great video. There's a couple of things in there. It's just smashing. I love the bingo bus. I don't have a bingo bus here. Can you get that to Lower Glenburn, Terry? Because I'd like the bingo bus here. But I tell you what, you said something in that video that for me, I think it can echo across Paisley and Renfrewshire. And you said for many years, things were done to Fergusley Park rather than with the people of Fergusley Park. Now, that could be the same for the town centre at large. That could be the same, that things are done to the place, but the community engagement bit has always been missing until now. We seem to be getting that, local authority and community engagement bit working a bit better because of great people and active people like you, Terry.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. I'm not entirely sure that I'm responsible for that, though.
Well, you and many others like you.
Absolutely. I mean, Fergusley is a huge community in comparison to some of the others, but it is steeped in that community spirit that I would argue is perhaps unrivaled by any other across the country. And that comes from a whole host of consequences, and I suppose that's a whole different Thrasher show, to be fair. But I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that if anything is to stick, I think the question is stickability, longevity. We've saw the weird and wonderful regeneration strategies. We've had with no disrespect, the outside professionals parachuted in for 40 years. My community, for example, has been getting regenerated my entire life. I'm 41 in January. Now, if I was organising a wedding, a funeral or a bar mitzvah, there'd be a beginning, a middle and an end. And as a community activist of 23 years, I think it's high time we go on with that end bit. And I think where that lies, you're right. So I'm trying not to be critical of the past, because what the past has proved, certainly for Fergusley, and I'm sure it's across the board in other communities as well, is it's allowed us to actually build our own capacity within our community so that we can actually take the lead. We speak about voice. I don't think communities just need a voice. What they need is actual empowerment. And sadly, we fell foul for a long time there into that rhetorical tick box approach to regeneration and community empowerment, whereas COVID has presented us with a real dramatic meaning of what community empowerment means. Community empowerment is Margaret going to pick up Janet's prescription. Community empowerment is folks finding solutions to make sure others in the community aren't going hungry. That is community empowerment. We sometimes think it's much more grander. We look at climate change, we look at community regeneration, community empowerment, as if they're all alien concepts, mutually exclusive to each other. COVID, we had to roll all that on into the one ball and deal with it at the same time. And I think as a Renfrewshire as a whole, I think we've got no too hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that I've noticed, particularly Terry and Andy, over the 6 months, however long this has went on, and Lorraine, our provost, Lorraine Cameron, has quite rightly pointed to the community that's risen up. And we've risen up and we've grabbed a hold of our community, even if it's in the background, even if it's in our rooms, and people volunteering and people going, I'm up for that. I think it's about time we started to help each other. And it's very noticeable now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you look at what the reasons Paisley Community Trust was formed, the reasons Dartwood were formed, and all these community organisations. We passionately believe in the place. We passionately believe in the people. And we want that to be as good as it possibly can be. And we want to work collaboratively with each other. We want to interface with the local authorities. And when regeneration is underway, we don't want that done to us. We want to be central. We want to be part of that entire mix. And you'll see, I mean, everybody without, question who tunes into this programme or comes on the programme wants to see Paisley, Renfrewshire and its people progress. That's what we all want. We're all trying to do the same thing. Working in harmony with each other is the absolute essential part of all of that.
Absolutely, Andy, and I think Brian has hit the nail on the head with the image that we're portraying on the show tonight on the screen at the moment. It's really quite interesting what he's saying.
You can always rely on Brian. Terry, you look like you're having a wee bit of an internet lag here. So what I'm going to do, Terry, I'm going to play the other video, and if I can ask you to just jump out, jump back in again, and the time that video plays, that'll maybe reset your connection. So we'll see you in a second, Terry. Do come back, please. Right, folks, here's another wee video for you to feast your eyes on.
Way back about 3 years ago, it became very clear for the local community that one of the first priorities they would like to see visually was the environment all over Fergusley Park. This area here, which is called the Village Green, this was one of the areas that the community were more or less saying we would like to see it really tidied up. There's paths and that go all through here that's never been used. So it was very easy for the Community Council and Environmental Subcommittee to say, right, well, maybe the way to tackle this then, is there any community members out there who would be willing to get themselves involved? That was where the Dartwood crew was actually born out of. 4 or 5 right at the start had said, we would like to get involved in that. So right away, that's the process started. As soon as somebody in a community says, we want to get involved, then you know you're on your way. And you can see by just looking around here, the difference that these people have made to this area. And that's a real benefit of organisations like this. It's not just about cutting the grass and tidying up the paths and doing everything else. It's about social interaction. All they want to do is continue to help their neighbour. That's the great thing about Fergusley Park. It's about looking after and helping people who are less fortunate than yourself.
Since its inception, if you like, it has gone on to identify 5 key focus areas in the community: isolation and loneliness, food insecurity, fuel poverty, positive about mental health, and the overriding one, which is the local environment. And really, Dartwood crew have tried their best to respond to community need, but weave that entire environmental agenda into almost everything that they've done.
So they then started to get involved. The schools themselves, they couldn't hold a sort of kind of prom. So the Dartwood crew organised an outdoor prom for the 2 primary schools. And the kids absolutely loved it. So again, what that's doing is building up the capacity of this community. You've only got to look at them as it's like a cold day here just now. Everybody's got a smile on their face because they're enjoying what they're doing. And that was one of the main reasons why I thought it was right to nominate the Dartwood crew for this particular award.
To have won an award for tidying up your own part of town, that's a fantastic accolade, and certainly unexpected but welcome nonetheless.
Yeah, couple of cracking videos there, Andy. I was really quite taken by them and all the connections that are happening down in Fergusley. I wanted to, because we're up against time, I wanted Terry to close this section with a pertinent message related to youth and how you manage to engage youth, Terry, and how much of a difference they're making in their own environment.
I think Adrian hit the nail on the head with his comments earlier when he said essentially listen to young people and allow them to play their part. I think it's very easy for us as adults just to be quite dismissive of young people, sometimes presume that we know better. I think one of the highlights of COVID for me is that none of us has known what we're doing here. We're all kind of stabbing in the dark, as it were. We're all trying our best. And do you know what? See, in a crisis, particularly in a crisis, it would amaze you some of the ingenious ideas that young people can come up with. Because, I mean, young Aidan, for example, the youngest kind of active volunteer within Dartwood crew, 16 years old. I mean, the young lad's got a head on him, a 40-year-old. I mean, he's got wisdom and intelligence which far exceeds where I was when I was 16. And I just think to myself, if that can be cultivated and captured properly, Fergusley's got a fantastic future ahead of it.
Such a positive message, Terry, to finish on, and I think that we're super encouraged by those videos, and it was great to see John on there. I thought he was a little bit emotional towards the end there when he talked about nominating you for the award, because you can clearly see John's huge appreciation and recognition. But as you've just mentioned there, looking at that next generation that's coming through, how do we inspire our youth? They are the future. We've got to be responsible citizens to reach out a hand and help to guide them and shape them, allow them to be who they are, but at least give them a little degree of guidance and support, and make sure that they can be listened to, contribute, and in fact become the leaders that we hope they do. So yeah, great positive message to finish on, Terry. Next week, I'm sure it'll be back to normal for you, Terry. You'll be watching for the bathtub.
Absolutely. What can I say?
Right.
It served me well, mate. It served me well.
It's been a pleasure, Terry. Thanks so much indeed.
No,
see you later.
Thanks very much.
See you later.
Guys. Thank you.
Bye now. Oh, that was fantastic. When you see people like Terry on and you look at his team and everyone that's so active in Renfrewshire, and in fact across Renfrewshire as well, kind of makes you think that you're not doing enough sometimes, Gary, eh?
Aye, well, exactly, Andy, but you can spread yourself too thin. One of the things I felt running through tonight's show was the spirit of Paisley's future, Andy. We spoke about it last week. It's definitely rising. So the spirit of Paisley's future, and Terry mentioned that they listen to young people, give them that opportunity, let them go. Yep. And we were young once, Andy. We turned out no bad.
Hard to believe. Gary, do you know what? I think maybe next week we'll need to do baby pictures of what we look like when we still had no hair.
Maybe no change.
just to remind ourselves and our viewers that we were young once.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be a bit of fun, Andy.
Dear, maybe we might have a baby picture special. Maybe all our usual viewers that come in. So we've got Jackie, we've got Councillor Divine, maybe Elizabeth, Jane, all those. Maybe send us baby pictures and we'll have to guess who's who. I'm shuddering to think what Paul Stewart's might look like.
Yeah, we'll need to get some of the black and white ones turn colour again.
Oh, I will need to do some of that. But that's been a hugely inspirational. I mean, this show, I learn so much on this show. It's wonderful to see that we've got some really active folk out there doing their bit for the community, doing their bit for the youth of our community. And we know that we've got a bright future ahead of us in Paisley and Renfrewshire, Gary.
Yeah, the future's bright. The spirit of Paisley's future is burning bright. And I think in times of crisis, and particularly at this moment in time, we've got to look out and give the young people a chance. So let's do that.
Indeed. Now, just before we do finish off, folks, because we have ran, as always, a little bit over the 9 o'clock news has been the 9 o'clock news has been bumped for another 15 minutes tonight. But Pixel's logo design update. Thank you all for your patience on this one. We're a little bit behind at Paisley Community Trust, but we'll be announcing an update within the next week. Thank you to everyone that submitted. We got a huge number of submissions, and we'll be able to give you an update next week on where we are at and what the next step in the process will be. So that's the Pixel logo design competition that we had. We'll be updating you on that next week, folks.
That's great. And Andy.
Gary.
Something else that caught my eye this week.
Oh, no. You've gone off script, Gary.
I know. Caught my eye, and it's just worth talking about.
Go on, then.
Yes, sir. I Can Boogie.
Oh.
What about that?
Now, was Scotland playing football tonight, Gary?
Aye, I think they might be getting beat, but I don't want to tempt fate. But last week, Andy, watching the football and then the videos coming in, and have you seen some of the young people playing Yes Sir I Can Boogie on their guitar?
I've not seen that. We'll maybe see if we can get something on that will not infringe the Facebook police.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Great result, a fantastic party, a viral video, and now a hit from the 70s. Was it the 70s, Gary?
Baccarat
is they interviewed one of the singers on television the other day. She's amazing.
She's like, would you like to record that again for the... Aye.
She loves Scotland. She's suddenly got the royalties pouring back in again to keep her to the lifestyle she's become accustomed.
It's fantastic. Yes, sir, I Can Boogie. That's just fantastic. It's just great, Andy. So we've overrun, which is the norm. It's not a problem.
It's okay, folks.
We're quite relaxed about the overrun now, but it's just been a really inspiring show. Not so easy for us to find young people that want to come on the show, but Adrian and Graham that come on to talk about what they do and what their group does, such a wide remit for young people. And Terry talking about the award that the young people voted for the Dartwood crew, and the list is really long. I know, having spoken to a couple of the award winners today, what they're about to do in lockdown to embrace youth. It's fantastic. So the future's bright, Andy. Fingers crossed we get through this COVID thing.
Yep.
Future's bright. We embrace and invest in our young people.
Indeed. And if we all work together, and certainly I think there's a good opportunities that we spoke about tonight for us all to be working together, the transformation will continue, but we need everyone's support. We need absolutely everyone to get behind it. We're preaching to the converted, because if you're watching, I guess you're already a big supporter in the regeneration of Paisley. But bang the drum, get that message out there, tell the naysayers, get onto the social media, talk up Paisley. Positive Paisley is where we want to be, folks, and Renfrewshire, because we're part of that entire region, so that's really important as well. But I think we're pretty much done for tonight. Gary, have we got next week figured out already, or are you still on that one?
Well, it's a milestone in the month, Andy. We keep coming up with these natural things. Next week, if I've got my math right, is that American enough for you?
Your math correct.
If I've got my math right.
Next
week's the 25th.
Right, okay.
Aye, so 25th of November.
Yeah. If you've got your math right and you take 18 and 7, you get 25.
25th of November, which is 1 month to go before Christmas. Now, that's the first time I've mentioned it. We're not really having a Christmas this year. We can't be bothered. But other people are having Christmas. Normally at Christmas, we all gather in the town centre and we build up towards Christmas. This year, of course, there's not been a Christmas light switch on. But we want to have a Christmas lights kind of switch on special next week. So I'm building a show round about that, Andy. Lights of Christmas past, talking about the old reindeer, the season's greetings thing up the top of the high street. We'll get all the old lights on, and we'll maybe have a surprise or two next week. So it's all about Xmas next week, and the lead up to 4 weeks to go to Christmas, and the 25th. That's good in the radio. The 25th of November and the 25th of December.
You started your shopping yet, Gary?
Oh, aye.
Click, done.
It's all done.
Right. Folks, it's been a pleasure as always. Fantastic guests, fantastic show tonight. Thanks so much for joining in. And I guess we'll see you all next week.
See you all next week. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Bye.
Bye, folks.